Hello, how are you? It's been a while. I think we're in week 10 of quarantine. I did a lot of cooking last week rather, but not a lot of things that I thought would be good for sharing. But this one tonight is something that a lot of you may be missing. So there's always going to be those dishes that when you go out to a restaurant, you love to order because there's something you just don't typically make for yourself at home. This is one of them. So today I'm going to make chicken marsala, really nice Italian dish. Typically, you would serve this over pasta or rice. Sometimes we've done egg noodles. We had pasta for dinner last night. It was a lot of carbs, so we're gonna skip them today. But we are gonna serve ours with some nice roasted broccoli. So if you've never cooked your broccoli this way before, we just cut up all the little florets off the broccoli crowns. Douse it with olive oil, salt, pepper, and then I put that in the oven at 350 to cook for about 15 minutes or so. What you're looking for is to be fork tender. So I'm gonna start that. But as far as what you're gonna need for the chicken marsala today, let's take a look at the board. Up front, I have some nice thinly sliced baby bella mushrooms. Over here on the board, I have one large shallot. If you don't have a shallot, you can absolutely use a regular onion or Vidalia onion if you have them as well. I have 2 cloves of chopped garlic. I have about 2 tablespoons of chopped thyme. And I have some fresh parsley on the side, but I'm gonna use that for the garnish. Then I had one really large chicken breast, depending on the size, obviously, of your chicken breast. But what you want to make sure you do anytime that you're making marsala or scallopini or anything of that nature is that you always divide the chicken breast in half and then you pan that out so you can get it as thin as possible. Part of that is that it's going to break down the connective tissue and it's going to make the meat more tender. But the other thing is making sure that it is then all the same size so it cooks evenly. It's the same thickness and it will cook the way you need it to. You're going to need Marsala wine. So what's Marsala wine? I wish I had like a regular bottle from the wine store of one, but I don't, and given what the situation is, I couldn't run and pick one up. But this is cooking Marsala and you can find that at the grocery store. So it's right there, usually with where the vinegars are, is where I find it. What's Marsala? Marsala is an Italian wine that's made in Sicily, the island of Sicily off the coast. It's made primarily from the Grillo grape. It can be made, it's fortified. So it can be fortified either with a neutral grape spirit, with brandy, or it can be fortified with cooked wine that stabilizes it so that it doesn't continue to oxidize any further. Lots of different kinds of marsala you can buy. When you are cooking, you generally want dry marsala. When you are having it with dessert or you just want to sit and sip it, having a little bit of sweetness in that marsala is really more enjoyable. So there's lots of different classifications of marsala. You can get it by what quality level it is, and a lot of times that's tied to the age of the wine, how long it's been aged. You can get it by the sweetness level. Again, you're gonna want dry for your cooking. Anything savory, you're gonna want sweet for anything dessert-like. And you can also get it rated by the color. Whether it's light in color or as it goes darker, they classify it differently. But just basic, fun marsala, a year or 2 old, is perfectly fine for cooking. And again, if you can't find it, use the stuff that you find in the grocery aisle. Other things that you're gonna need: heavy cream, I'm gonna need some water, and then I have my dredging flour for the chicken. So I just have a cup of flour here. I only have the 2 breasts to do, so I don't need a lot, but I have garlic salt, and pepper, garlic powder, salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dust and dredge my chicken breast in those, and then I'm gonna fry them on the stove. So I have a shallow pan that I'm going to add some butter and some oil to. The combination of those 2 fats is important so you get it browned the way that you want it to. So once that's hot, I'm gonna dredge these in the flour and I'm gonna saute them up in the pan of oil, remove them, and then I'm gonna come back to you for the next step. All right, so here are those beautiful golden brown seared chicken breasts. Try to cook them the whole way through. They are gonna cook a little bit more in the sauce, but not enough to really finish them much. So make sure they're pretty much done by the time that you finish the browning of them. Now you still have that same pan left, and here's what the oil looks like. If you can see, oil and butter mixture. It's got all the little bits of the flour and everything in there. We are using this. Don't get rid of this. This is where a lot of the flavor is. So the next step here is we are going to get the mushrooms in the pan and we're going to start to saute them. My oil's still hot. Get the mushrooms in the pan and start sauteing them. We're gonna do so for a couple minutes. until they start to brown. And then we're going to add to that the shallot, the garlic, and the thyme that we have on the back of the board. Get that back on the stove for a minute. After we let those saute 5 minutes or so, add the other things in, maybe 2 more minutes. We let them saute up. We're going to add what we have for the sauce. And I did misspeak to you earlier. I said you needed 2/3 cup of water. That was not true. You need 2/3 cup of stock, chicken stock. You need 2/3 cup of the Marsala, and you need 2/3 cup of cream. That's going to be the sauce. So saute the mushrooms, add in the shallots and onions, get your sauce on, and once you have your sauce in the pan, you're going to cook that for about 10 more minutes. And you're going to let that really bubble and boil down. If you need to reduce the heat a little bit, go ahead and do so. And what you're looking is for the sauce to start to thicken. Remember, we floured, we had the flour on the chicken, and that was all still down in the bottom of the pan. That's going to help with the thickening of the sauce. Once the sauce is almost the consistency that you want, you're going to put those chicken breasts back in the sauce and let them really marinate for the rest of the cooking process, maybe another 5 minutes or so. And when the sauce is a nice thin cream sauce, if you will, you don't want it to be watery, you want it to really cling to everything, that's when it's ready to pull. We're going to chop up the parsley and we're going to garnish them, and I will show you how we finish up our plating. Okay, so all of my vegetables are sauteed up. The sauce is in the pan. It's in the process of reducing right now to thicken. Make sure you scrape the bottom of the pan. If there's any crusties there, they're going to make great flavors in your sauce, and you don't want to lose those, and you don't want them to burn on the bottom. So use a wooden spoon, just rub the bottom of the pan, get all of those free so that they can incorporate into the sauce. Also make sure you salt and pepper. Thought this would be a good opportunity to tell you about wine pairings. So ideally, if I could have anything I wanted, and quarantine aside, I would pick a French Burgundy for this. So red French Burgundy is made from Pinot Noir. Like California, the broader the area you pick the wine from, the least expensive it is. Usually it's also the lower quality, but you can still find really great bottles. So if you went into Wegmans today, you could find or State Store if you were able, you could find a negotiant producer like Louis Jardot. Just a bottle of Burgundy, it'll say on the label, it's going to be Pinot Noir, and it'll be about $17. From there, you can shrink that circle. So just like California, if you buy a wine that just says California, it's cheaper than if you buy a bottle that says Napa. So if you're talking about Burgundy, you could go from anywhere in Burgundy to the Côte d'Or, to Côte de Nuits, to Vonnet-Romani, or Nuits St. George. And as you shrink the circle of where those grapes are allowed to come from, the quality level and the price point level go up. Over $100, up to over $100 a bottle easily. One of the most expensive red Burgundies that you can find is from Vonnet-Romani. It's Conti Domaine Conti Romane. Oh, my brain's not working. I will look it up since my brain isn't working. Domaine Conti, yeah. Anyway. So find a nice bottle like that. I don't have one today, but I do want to show you what I am going to drink. So I'm sticking with the Pinot Noir theme, but instead I'm going to go to Oregon. This, if you've watched my page, I've talked about before. This is quarantine wine. Let me show you the label there. So this was a really cool project. This was an idea that was kind of born in Mila Kunis's head. And she said, you know, wouldn't it be cool if we could help somebody during this quarantine with all of these medical professionals that don't have the things that they need? So they partnered with their friends at Knocking Point Wines in Oregon, and they very quickly assembled a special cuvee, bottled it as quarantine wine, and the 100% of the profits from this wine go to providing PPE and go to providing food for Feed America. Really cool. Not exactly cheap, but you know, with the 2 bottles that you buy as part of the package, that a good portion of that is going to be supporting others during this difficult time. So if it's something you're inclined to do, it's really cool. One other thing about this wine, so the label is very plain and very blank, and the reason is up in the corner, if you can see, it says toasting to. So whenever you open it, you want to write on the label and make your own label about who you're toasting to. So today with our chicken marsala, when we open this bottle, we're going to be toasting to my family, your and your family's continued good health throughout this. And we hope to see you soon. Enjoy.